On Easter Sunday, one of the poems that runs in my brain is one by Desmond Tutu called "Victory is Ours." Desmond Tutu, for those who don't know, is a South African Anglican bishop who is known for his work against the racist system in South Africa that we know as apartheid. And he wrote a book called the African Prayer Book, where he assembled prayers from all around Africa and wrote a few, and "Victory is Ours" is one of them. It reads, "Goodness is stronger than evil, love is stronger than hate, light is stronger than darkness, life is stronger than death. Victory is ours through him who loves us." He wrote this prayer, but I think you can see that it is true just by looking all around us. Life keeps winning. Love keeps winning. Victory is ours. One example of this, of course, is the fish that we just saw. But there are many other examples besides that. And you're going to have to let me pause here just for a moment so I can go around and look. One of them is this resurrection plant. This plant exists in the desert, and that form on your left is what happens when it loses all of its water. And it can survive in that form for a long time, but as soon as you give it a little bit more water, it just pops right back to life. In the middle of the desert, it blooms because life is stronger than death. Another example is the story of insulin. And I'm sure the diabetics among us might be aware of this story. But back in 1922, a researcher discovered the first formulation of insulin. And it's important to note that at this time, diabetes was essentially a death sentence. In order to survive diabetes, you had to starve yourself, and the life expectancy was only a few years, if that. In addition, they would gather these people in wards, and it was a place of sadness, a place of despair. But nevertheless, they developed this first formulation of insulin and walked into the ward and gave it to the first person, Leonard Thompson, to receive this. And within moments, his blood sugar levels began being restored to normal. And he was able to be treated for many more years. And now 100 years later, diabetes is no longer a death sentence. And I think that's a miracle that we do not pay enough attention to. That 100 years ago it was a death sentence, and now it is an ordinary part of life. How incredible is that? Life is stronger than death. At Brown University a few years ago, you might remember there was an on-campus shooting. And while the shooter was still at large, students were grieving the loss of two classmates and trying to make sense of it all. As then senior Angela Leon described it, dining workers were feeding hungry students who comforted each other over pancakes. Messages of support flowed in and out of students' social media. Students were just comforting one another. And in the middle of that, she said, it would be so easy, even justifiable, to shut ourselves off and away, to close doors and shutter windows. Instead, our community has chosen to support one another. And in the middle of grief, a woman named Angela Capitosto sat on a snow-covered bench offering mom hugs. People who just needed that maternal source of comfort while they were living away from home. Asked about it, she said that this was a very simple act. You don't have to have resources or be someone influential to make an impact. Life is stronger than death. Friends, today is a day of victory. It doesn't matter what bullies say or warmongers. Today is a day of life winning over death, of love winning over hatred. It doesn't matter how much we hurt and are hurt. It doesn't matter how much we suffer and cause suffering. Life is stronger than death. Death is fighting a losing battle. And that should tell us, if nothing else, to not give up, to not give in. Because the life is on the winning side. Jesus' story is the story of one man in the Middle East 2,000 years ago who was publicly executed and came back to life. But people came to realize it wasn't just another story about someone who was resurrected. This story was real. This story, there's something to. This one got noticed. This story made people change their entire lives, made them willing to face death just to share the news. Because sharing the news of life in the midst of death, it's not sharing the news of life in the midst of death, was unimaginable to them. And so I'm sharing the news now with you again. That Christ came back from the dead to offer life and forgiveness. The story of the resurrection is not just another conspiracy theory. It's not a religious proposition. It's not a myth we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel comfortable. It's an event that we have to figure out how to make sense of. Mary Magdalene, and as the other Gospels tell us, some other women with her, came to mourn Jesus, but found the tomb empty. She went and told others what she saw, and they came to verify that she was telling the truth. And they went in, and bit by bit, they verified that what she said was true, but they still didn't believe that he had actually come back from the dead. Because there are other logical explanations for this. Maybe these two strange men in white garments have an explanation. Maybe enemies came and took the body to desecrate it. Maybe the gardener knows where he is. Maybe this is just tragedy compounded with tragedy, and their sadness knows no end. But when Mary speaks to the gardener, and when Jesus finally speaks her name, she knows something totally different happened. Her worldview is finally, irrevocably shattered as she recognizes Jesus alive. This Easter story reveals a life-changing truth about the nature of the universe, which is that the being that set all of creation into motion cares about us as people, loves us as people. That is surprising, that is profound, that is not expected. That should lead us to change our lives. It made such a big difference to the disciples that they changed everything about their lives. And it made such a difference to Mary that she couldn't keep quiet, but had to share that there was good news. Friends, if you are hurting, if you are tired, if you are waking up feeling like death, this is good news for you. Because it tells you that there is hope in the midst of hopelessness. And if you're waking up feeling fantastic, congratulations, first of all. Well done. We'll talk later. You can email me your secrets. But if that's you, then you know someone who needs to hear that good news, that get out of bed good news, that says that there is always hope, that says that there's purpose to life, that says that there is meaning, that says that even when it looks like death all around you, life provides hope. Do not give in to the messages that say that life is not winning. God's love and God's life will win. Goodness is stronger than evil. Love is stronger than hate. Light is stronger than darkness. Love is stronger than death. Victory is ours through him who loves us. Romans 8:37 says, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." More than conquerors, Romans says, because we can realize that it's not actually about winning or conquering, is it? It's about love. It's about love winning. It's about life winning. It's about death losing. So find death and oppose it. Encounter hate and stare it down with love. Let your goodness roll over all of the evil you see. Let it fill you to overflowing and pour it out. Because there is way more goodness and life in the world than there is death and evil. Never give up when you have the winning hand. And if we learn nothing else from Easter, let us learn that love always wins. Christ is risen.